This was supposed to be Justin Baldoni's biggest legal win yet.
Holy guacamole, Blake Lively just lost. This is not a drill. This just happened. Judge Lyman just ruled, and he completely threw out her sexual harassment claims. He gutted her case ahead of next month's trial. There's a hearing that's happening today as well, and right before the hearing, Lyman placed this on the docket. He has gutted all of her claims except for 3.
But what the judge allowed next may have actually made things worse. Because while headlines are saying Blake Lively just lost most of her case, the reality is far more complicated and potentially far more dangerous heading into trial. This week, a federal judge dismissed 10 out of Blake Lively's 13 claims against Justin Baldoni.
Did Blake Lively lose her lawsuit against Justin Baldoni? No, certainly not. The lawsuit is still very much ongoing, although the judge did dismiss some of Blake Lively's claims within the lawsuit, including her claims of sexual harassment. So we'll talk about that. But I want to point out that Blake Lively's claims of retaliation are still very much intact. The entire crux of this conflict is that Blake Lively thought that Justin Baldoni was acting inappropriately and unprofessionally on the set of the movie It Ends With Us, and she complained about it internally. And as a result, Justin Baldoni retaliated against her by hiring crisis PR and ruining her reputation. Now, I'm going to read you something that the judge said from this ruling. A person in her position could have understood the workplace to at times reflect a gendered and sexualized view of women and a disregard for their privacy sufficient to make it reasonable to complain about a hostile work environment based on sex or gender.
Dramatically narrowing the lawsuit that's been dominating headlines since 2024. On paper, it looks like a major victory for Justin. The harassment claims were thrown out, along with defamation and conspiracy allegations. And the reason? Blake wasn't technically an employee. She was considered an independent contractor on the film, meaning those workplace harassment laws didn't apply to her case. Justin's legal team wasted no time calling this confirmation of what they believed all along. They said the allegations blindsided them from day one, and that transparency, including releasing messages and documents, proved their client never engaged in harassment. But here's the part that didn't make the headlines. Even though the harassment claims were dismissed, the allegations themselves are still allowed to be presented to a jury. And that changes everything. Because now, Blake can still describe everything she says happened on set, not as a harassment claim, but as evidence for retaliation. In other words, the legal technicality may have removed one category, but the emotional impact of those allegations could still play out in front of a jury. And jury trials don't operate like legal technicalities. They operate on perception. Suddenly, what looked like a clean legal win starts to look a lot more complicated. Because now, instead of debating technical employment law, the case shifts into something far more unpredictable: credibility, motive, and public perception. And that's exactly why both sides are claiming victory.
Someone's career is ending. Here's everything you need to know about the $250 million lawsuits Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni filed against each other. Grab your florals and buckle up because we're gonna move quick. On August 9th, the movie It Ends With Us came out, and it's about domestic violence. There was rumors of extreme hatred between the two lead stars, Blake and Justin. They would do 0 interviews together, and it caused the movie to suffer at the box office. The world initially took Justin's side because while he was using his press tour to promote domestic violence survivors, she was using her time on the press tour to promote her hair care line, and simultaneously, a lot of her past bad behavior was exposed. Her reputation was in the gutter, so on December 21st, she filed a 79-page long federal complaint against Justin Baldoni and published it in the New York Times. In it, she basically said the movie suffered because he was an abuser in real life that she couldn't work with. And I took notes on the 79-page federal complaint, so here's everything she accused him of. She said Justin would walk into her dressing room while she was topless. Justin would push for more sex scenes, oral sex scenes, and scenes of her character climaxing that she didn't approve of when she got the script. Justin would improvise during their sex scenes and get way too passionate and lick her in places. She also said that there was no intimacy coordinator, that Justin is the director, so he should have hired. Everything is alleged, but he would show her videos and pictures of naked women. He would talk about his addiction to Blake, tell Blake about his past sexual conquest. Blake said that he bragged about having non-consensual sex with other women. Blake also said Justin would over-sexualize her character with the wardrobe and she didn't want that. She accused Justin of commenting on her weight and making her feel fat-shamed. And he would just do other manic stuff on set, like say he could speak to the dead and talk about Blake's dead father and manically cry in her dressing room. And Blake said that he chose to only talk about domestic abuse survivors during the press tour so he could get goodwill with the public and get sympathy from everyone, so if she ever decided to say all these things he did, the public would have his back. And here's where it gets nasty. She said that he orchestrated the full media takedown of Blake Lively that happened this year, saying he hired press outlets and social media bots to pour out negative press about her and suppress any negative press about him. At this point, the world was on Blake's side. But then on December 31st, Justin Baldoni sued the New York Times for $250 million for publishing that article full of lies. And in order to win that $250 million, he had to prove every single thing Blake Lively said wrong. And he did a very good job. And he has proof. He showed text of Blake Lively inviting him into her dressing room while she was breastfeeding. He also shows text of Blake over-sexualizing her character and trying to pick sexy outfits for her, just like Justin would. There's also text showing that Blake knew there was an intimacy coordinator, but didn't seem too enthusiastic of even using her. Justin said he didn't show her pornography. He showed her a video of his wife giving birth, so that he didn't cry in her dressing room in a manic way. He cried because Blake was complimenting his directing ability and his talent, and that touched him emotionally. He also shows clear as day, extremely accurate proof that Blake Lively altered and manipulated their text between each other in the New York Times article to take him down. And he showed the real text. All of the text that she manipulated was to make him look worse and to make her look like the victim. Justin also has proof that he didn't want to use domestic violence survivors to try to gain sympathy from the public. He's actually been advocating for them since 2019. Justin Baldoni said he didn't fat shame Blake Lively. He has 3 disc bulges in his back and didn't want to hurt himself when picking her up, so he asked how much she weighed. This is where Ryan Reynolds comes in, because when Ryan heard he fat shamed her, he apparently berated Justin so loudly and so viciously in front of a whole room of people and said he will ruin Justin Baldoni's career. And then after this, Justin accuses Blake Lively of trying to strong-arm herself into having more control over this film than she should as an actress. Well, he's the director, using her and Ryan's power. He also has proof he didn't orchestrate any PR takedown of Blake Lively, because there's text of him and his PR team not knowing where all the online hate was coming from and finding out it's just organic against her. But Blake manipulated text to make it seem like him and his PR team did orchestrate a PR takedown of her. At this point, he said Blake was so hard to work with in trying to make this film her own, saying she wouldn't even promote the film if he didn't meet every single one of her demands. And Blake Lively wanted a PGA title and an executive producer title on this movie, and when he wouldn't give that to her, she said all the goodwill they had with each other is now gone. And that's why he thinks she's trying to bury him. She wouldn't even do press interviews with him, as she even got him removed from every single poster of his own film that he was the main character and the director of. After all this came out, Blake today, January 1st, has now officially sued Justin back and said she's excited to see him in court. And he is saying he will also see her in court. This will be the court case of 2025, so make sure to follow along for updates, because you know you love this content, and seriously, following me along on Instagram helps so much, so do that.
Justin's team is celebrating the dismissal, saying the ruling validates their position. But Blake's team fired back almost immediately, accusing Justin's lawyers of misunderstanding the ruling and focusing on the wrong outcome. They argue the heart of the case was never just harassment. It was retaliation, and a smear campaign that damaged her reputation. So now, instead of one legal battle, this has turned into 2 wars happening at the same time. One in the courtroom, and one in public opinion. And public opinion has already been messy.
Okay, so everyone's talking about the awkwardness of this press tour. I think we've all forgotten about another really uncomfortable Blake Lively press tour. Remember A Simple Favour? It was released in 2018 with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. And the vibe was they did not get along. There were all these behind the scenes rumours that they hated each other, were hardly speaking. And whatever, the rumours would have been fine, except that a few things then happened in interviews that kind of confirmed they just did not vibe. There was a BuzzFeed interview where Anna Kendrick told a story about having to wait because Blake Lively was an hour late for a call time. And she's like, ha ha ha, that's when I knew that I hated you. Everyone was talking shit about you. Are you joking? Then just watch this interview moment.
I worked with her husband Ryan several years ago, so I met Blake a few times through Ryan on that film.
Got it.
And thought she seemed nice, and little did I know.
Yeah. Look at the body language experts analyzing this right now. How quickly do you...
Don't touch me.
Here's another weird moment. The context is that Blake Lively was talking about how her mum said, I'm not below compliments.
He's always soliciting.
Okay, because you were just telling me about weird expressions that she gets wrong, wouldn't it be, I'm not above compliments?
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh, she gets it all wrong. I never even thought about it. She says it. Yes, she's not above compliments. My mom gets everything sort of
expression. She was just telling me
she'll be
funny.
Smooth as pie. It should be smooth as silk or whatever.
Easy as pie.
Yeah, and smooth as silk. But my mom, I think, is a very confident.
Why is there tension? And just one more. Same interview, and this is about blocking people on social media.
Do you block people?
No, I've muted some people. Now that it's a function on Twitter and Instagram, there's a couple people that I have muted.
Good.
Yeah.
You can mute people on Instagram. Yeah, it's a new feature.
Is it literally just because Blake Lively doesn't laugh when people make jokes, which I guess is fine? I don't know.
Since the drama first started, fans have been split. Some believe Blake damaged her own reputation during the It Ends With Us press tour, saying the backlash she faced came naturally from public reactions. Others believe Blake's claim that there was a coordinated effort to make her look like the villain. And that divide has only gotten louder as the trial approaches, because both sides seem fully committed to seeing this through. Neither is backing down. And with the case expected to go to trial in May, the stakes are about to get even higher. But then there's one more detail that raised eyebrows this week. Justin Baldoni is reportedly selling his $9 million home. Originally listed for rent at $40,000 a month, it's now on the market for sale. And while there's no confirmation why, the timing is hard to ignore. Lawsuits like this can stretch on for years, and legal fees alone can be massive. Whether it's related or not, it adds another layer to an already intense situation. Because at this point, this case is no longer just about what happened on set. It's about reputations, careers, and who the jury ultimately believes. And that's what makes this so unpredictable. Because even though Justin may have scored a legal win this week, the real battle hasn't even started yet. The jury will hear the story, the public will react, and once that happens, the narrative could shift again. So now the real question is, did this ruling actually help Justin? Or did it just set up an even bigger showdown? Because come May, this drama is far from over. And honestly, this might just be the beginning.